Hi all. In this video, we will try to understand the 26 by 11 attacks happened in Mumbai in 2008. So here, see, everyone knows that this event was not predicted by any astrologer, right? So far. What so far? It was already over in 2008. So before that, actually nobody predicted this. But we try to understand why this event happened, or what kind of planetary impacts, what kind of planetary positions really made this kind of event, really helped this kind of event, or right, what kind of energies would be responsible for this kind of event. So if you just observe this in the level of zodiac signs, Saturn is in Leo. So Leo is the Mula Trikona house and also the own house of Sun. And Saturn is placed in Leo. Right. So Saturn and Sun are bitter enemies. You can clearly know that. Even though Sun, there are so many stories, right? Sun is the father of Saturn, but Sun did not agree Saturn as a very amicable child of his son. There's so many stories, you can make stories, and that is okay, but basically they say Sun and Saturn are bitter enemies. And if you understand the planetary positions of Sun and Saturn, then also you can see those two are two different planets altogether. Because Sun is at the center of the solar system, and after Sun you can see Mercury. After Mercury you can find Venus. After Venus you can see Earth. So Earth has a natural satellite, that is Moon, of course. After that you can see Mars, and then Jupiter, and then Saturn. Saturn is the outermost planet, whereas Sun is at the center. So Sun is a kind of introverted planet, you can understand, right? So that's an introvert related planet. It's inner, actually it is inside. Whereas Saturn is just outside the whole solar system. It's the extroverted planet, right? So this way these two are just the complete opposites, right? So these two are complete opposites, you can say in that way. Now anyways, Saturn is in the sign of Sun, so it's not comfortable here, and Sun is in the sign of Scorpio, and Jupiter is in Sagittarius. Jupiter is in the Mula Trikona house of right, in its own Mula Trikona house. So if you just understand this, see, Mars is also in its own house, Scorpio, even though it's not the Mula Trikona house of Mars. Actually, Mula Trikona house of Mars is Aries. If you do this kind of analysis, right, you don't get any kind of clue. It seems to be okay, Saturn is uncomfortable here, only Saturn is uncomfortable. And whoever is uncomfortable here, who is uncomfortable here, right? It seems to be very normal, okay? It's just another planetary positions chart. You may think this way. But if you clearly understand the nakshatras, right, means the constellations in which these planets are present, so just let me check here. The Sun is placed in Anuradha, is the nakshatra of Saturn, right? Sun is placed in Anuradha, and Anuradha is the nakshatra of Saturn. So the dispositor of this particular Anuradha nakshatra here is Saturn, and Sun is placed there. Right? So Sun is getting inputs from Saturn. Right? And now let me check Saturn here. Saturn is placed in Uttara Falguni nakshatra, and the lord of Uttara Falguni nakshatra is Sun. So Saturn is getting inputs from Sun. So there is a lock here. Sun is placed in Saturn and Saturn is placed in Sun. Right? So is this lock good enough to support this kind of, is this lock concept or lock kind of argument that we're talking about now, is this good enough to, to give a kind of a more logical support to this event? This is not good enough, right? It seems to be, it's not good enough, right? Now what else we can observe here? So let us say by this particular placement you can understand Saturn and Sun are two opposites and one is placed in another's nakshatra, right? It's happening with both the planets. Now let me think this one as an event of war between Sun and Saturn. So if it's just a kind of war between two planets, then that is okay. It's just a normal, they are not in conjunction, there is no very deep conjunction also with respect to Earth, and it seems to be they are very far away and it's okay. But if you observe the other planets, the main planets are the Mars and the Mercury. So Mars is also in Anuradha here, which is the nakshatra of Saturn, lordship, right? So Saturn has lordship of Anuradha, and if you check Mercury is also in Anuradha, right? So Anuradha is again Saturn's nakshatra. So both Mars and Mercury, see this Mars and Mercury combination, right? It generally triggers a kind of accident. Even in the natal horoscopy, if you just check, if Mars or malefic, if Mars or Mercury, one of them is malefic to the ascendant of a particular chart, right? It's malefic, it's a functionally malefic to a horoscope. Then this particular combination, Mars and Mercury combination, triggers an accident in a person's life, right? Because see, Mercury is the natural lord of 6th house in the Kalapurush Kundali. Kalapurush Kundali is the one where Aries is the first house, and from that you can understand Virgo is the 6th house and the lord is Mercury. So the 6th house is responsible for diseases, debts. It has some kind of diseases, debts and enemies of course, but this diseases concepts, it's a kind of, it is triggering a kind of negative energy if you just observe, right? The 6th house. And Mars is the lord of the 8th house, the Scorpio. 8th house is the sudden events, the accidents. So this particular Mars and Mercury combination, even in Parashara horoscopy, you can clearly observe in so many places, right? Parashara noted this Mars and Mercury combination can give a sudden event, a sudden disease or a sudden accident. It's an accident, of course, accident itself is a sudden event, right? It can trigger an accident. So this particular Mars and Mercury combination here is the dispositor, the constellations in which these two are present is Anuradha, of course, the common one, and the lord is Saturn. So the sudden event is with respect to Saturn, by Saturn, right? And please observe Saturn is in the Leo nakshatra, so Leo sign. Definitely Saturn and Sun are bitter enemies, you know that, right? And clearly you can understand this Mars and Mercury are supporting Saturn. So the sudden event is with respect to Saturn, let us say. So you may ask, is this good enough to support this? Even Jupiter is with Sun, and Venus is in Venus Nakshatra only, that is Purvashadha. And Rahu is in Moon's Nakshatra, Ketu is in Mercury Nakshatra, right? So only this particular thing, just imagine, see, some events are very peculiar, right? So the moment there is a rivalry, there is an enmity with Saturn, right? And if a planet is in Saturn's nakshatra and Saturn is in that planet's nakshatra, then just there is a lock, and now we need to check the support. And in this support, if somewhere you can find this Mars and Mercury conjunction happening, right, in the nakshatra, having the lordship of either Saturn or the other planet, here the other planet is of course Sun. If this kind of thing, if this kind of lock is happening, I'm thinking this can trigger an event, definitely, right? This kind of things can happen very frequently. Do you think this kind of planetary positions come very frequently? Like, of course, Saturn can be in Sun's nakshatra and Sun can be in Saturn's nakshatra, but as Mars and Mercury, at that particular point of time, this Mars and Mercury is also sitting in one of the planet's nakshatras. You're getting it, right? So this kind of lock, I'm thinking, can trigger such an event. It's a Saturn related event because Mars and Mercury is in Saturn's nakshatra, that is Anuradha. So the sudden event is with respect to Saturn, that is an attack from terrorists, right? And here Sun is a kind of Sun is a sufferer, you can say, right? Sun is the sufferer, and this particular Sun, generally it represents the rulership, the lordship of a country. A rulership of a country. It's the ruler of a country, right? The government, basically, the king. So it's giving a very big bad name to that particular government, the government present the time, right? And even Jupiter is in Sun's nakshatra, even though it is in Sun's nakshatra, but still this Mars and Mercury combination is able to trigger this kind of event, right? So it's the Saturn and the other planet always. And this Mars and Mercury conjunction should happen in one of the nakshatras of Saturn or the other planet. So this kind of combination you can, even recently I found, I'll show you one thing. See, it's 2021 and it is May, let us say. Here Saturn is in Shravana, the moon's nakshatra. And moon and Saturn are also enemies, right? Of course, moon is a fastly moving planet. In every sign it stays 2.5 days and it just completes the whole zodiac in a month. It's a fastly moving planet. Saturn and moon are enemies. They are also enemies. Not like the enmity is not like Saturn and Sun's enmity. They are bitter enemies. Saturn and Sun are extreme, right? The extremities. The enmity is at extremes. As Moon is also an enemy of Saturn. You can check their behavior. Saturn stays in a particular sign for 2.5 years, and to complete the whole zodiac, that is the 12 signs, it takes 30 years, 30 years, whereas Moon stays in a particular sign only for 2.5 days, and to complete the whole zodiac, the 12 signs, it takes only 30 days. Just imagine the 30 years and the 30 days, the difference. So one is, Moon is a very fastly moving planet, whereas Saturn is a very slowly moving planet, right? The enmity between Saturn and Moon, right? The complete opposites, you can say, in terms of the motion of the planets. So here, why I'm talking about Moon, because Saturn is in the Moon's nakshatra. So if the precondition is that lock, a Saturn is in a planet's nakshatra, and that planet must be in the Saturn's nakshatra. This kind of lock we expect, right? And this Mars and Mercury, this also we expect. Mars and Mercury be in the Saturn's nakshatra or Moon's nakshatra. Whatever nakshatra, based on that, event triggers related to that. So there's a war between Saturn and Moon, and if Mars and Mercury are in the Moon's nakshatra, there is an event triggered from Moon's side. Moon represents the public. Moon represents the public opinion, the women, the children. Moon represents water, right? Like that. We can just so if I think this way, what is the Moon's nakshatra here? There's a we need that Mars and Mercury to be present in either Saturn's nakshatra or Moon's nakshatra, right? Right. So that kind of event. Here, what is Moon's nakshatra? Of course, Moon's nakshatras are Shravana, Hasta, and here the Rohini. Rohini, Hasta, and Shravana. The Shravana is in Capricorn, Rohini is in Taurus, and Hasta is in Virgo. So this Mars and Mercury, the conjunction did not happen in this particular Rohini nakshatra when Moon was in Saturn's nakshatra. Here, Saturn's nakshatras are actually Anuradha, and also here Uttara Bhadrapada, and another Saturn's nakshatra here you can clearly see. So one is the Uttara Bhadrapada, another one is Anuradha, and here you can find the Pushyami, right? The Pushyami. In the Cancer sign you can find Pushyami. In the Scorpio you can find Anuradha, and Shravana you can find in Shravana is of course Moon's nakshatra. Uttara Bhadrapada you can find in Aquarius. Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada Revati. Okay, sorry, it is in Pisces, right? So all Saturn's nakshatras are of course in the water signs like Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, right? So Pisces is where your Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra is present. So the Saturn's nakshatras are these. So when this Mars and Mercury conjunction happens, in this particular Saturn's nakshatra, and that time Moon must be in the Saturn's nakshatra, and Saturn must be in the Moon's nakshatra, right? So that kind of event I observed that is happening on, before some April or some time, you can also observe, if you just rotate this one, you can find this Mars and Mercury be in the Taurus. Mars and Mercury, you can find them in Taurus, right? Mars and Mercury be in the Taurus. You can just rotate it and you can find it. But that particular time, I'm telling the conditions here. See, a Saturn must be in the Moon's nakshatra, Moon must be in the Saturn's nakshatra, and at the same point of time, you must be able to observe Mars and Mercury conjunction, which is causing the sudden event, the sudden accident kind of stuff. And also Mercury here represents the negative energy, the disease related energy, you can say, right? And Mars is a sudden event. When they both of them are together, accident can happen most probably, right? Even if it is a small one, yes, you can, right? Small one, but it is a notable one. So that kind of event did not happen, even though Mars and Mercury is somewhere in the Rohini sometime, but I did not see that time Moon was in the Saturn's nakshatra. So let me try to check it on October. I observed this one on October 9th. Let me put it as October 9th. Yeah. So on October 9th, if you observe, Moon is in Anuradha, that is Saturn's nakshatra, right? And look at Saturn. Saturn is in the Moon's nakshatra, so there is a lock between Saturn and Moon. Now just observe Mars and Mercury. As Mars is in Hasta, that is Moon's nakshatra, and Mercury is also in Hasta, that is also Moon's nakshatra. And even that time, of course, Sun, we don't care about Sun here because it's not the enmity is not between. We're not considering Sun here, right? Because Sun is in the Moon's nakshatra. Of course, it's a different thing. But here we are considering the enmity between Saturn and Moon, right? So this kind of lock is present, and also Mars and Mercury conjunction in the Moon's nakshatra. So the triggering point is from the public opinion women. Moon represents that also. The triggering point can be from water, right? Triggering point can be from water. And it's the rivalry is against Saturn. So what Saturn can represent here? So in the previous event, the 26/11 attacks, you can clearly understand Saturn is the terrorist related energy, right? And Mars and Mercury conjunction happened in the Saturn's nakshatra, so the event is from Saturn related, that is a terrorist point of view. And then the Sun was the sufferer, and he was in the Saturn's nakshatra. Sun represents the government or whatever, right? Now in this event, what you can take Saturn generally represents a disease. Saturn represents the border attacks, right? Border attacks it can represent, and also it can represent kind of hardships in a country. That can be represented by Saturn. The terrorist attacks, of course, the Maoists are for the lower GDP people, of course, Saturn. And right, so that is Saturn basically. And what about, and Saturn can also represent the earthquakes related stuff, right? And what about Moon? So this is one side, and the Moon, if you check, Moon is at the other side. Moon is something like the public opinion, women and children. Moon represents water, all water bodies and everything. So the triggering point here is from Moon's side, means from Moon's energy. So it can be from a water body or women or public opinion, whatever, but how it can affect Saturn here, right? So that is the question. So if you have some kind of if you have some kind of predictions about this, right, in this analysis, you can just comment the mundane event that you really that came into your mind. I will also try to analyze it more and more and try to come to a conclusion and try to post my prediction in my next video. Please think on these lines. Thank you.